Good morning, natural gas. It's Tuesday, August the 18th, 2026. I'm Tim Beggins, president of Elk Trading Company. And for the spot September natural gas contract, we're up. We're currently trading at 274.80, up 1.9 cents here, just below 1%. As you can see, the RSI is trying to turn to the upside. This looks positive. We'll see if we can get back to the 13-period exponential moving average, which comes in today at 278.80. After our Charlie Brown move yesterday, because production was so high, we finally got a little bit of good news from the weather. And let's see if we get some good news from storage. Expectations right now from NGI plus 14. That compares to last year's plus 19 BCF and the 5-year average of plus 29 BCF. So a bullish potential storage report coming up in 2 days. Let's turn to the hourly chart. And as you can see, we're holding above the daily pivot, which came in today at 270.210. Right now, we are still holding, though, below first resistance at 275.70. The RSI is pointing higher at the moment. We're looking for some positive news. We've got it coming up from some weather, potentially from storage, but LNG's got some late maintenance programs coming up here. We'll talk about those in a second. Let's turn to the front to back spreads here. And this is Jan versus October here. And as you can see, we're currently trading at 115 and 2 ticks. The RSI is pointing lower. To me, this indicates that we are pulling gas from storage here in the Gulf Coast, from Salt Dome in particular. So this means that we should start seeing even more positive news from storage next week. Let's turn to the 6 to 10 day outlook. And as you can see, the Great Lakes, New England, and Mid-Atlantic states are going to be near normal to below normal, with the heat anchored in Texas and parts of the desert Southwest. This continues in the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. As you can see, even cooler temperatures coming into the Mid-Atlantic states. So looks like summer is exiting for the Northeast. It hasn't been much of one there so far, but summer is still firmly in place here in the South. Let's turn to the grid, and here is system-wide demand for ERCOT, just under 90,000 megawatts here. Renewables pushing out to just under 40,000 megawatts. Why? Because wind is low. Solar continues to be the king, but natural gas is right behind it here, just over 25,000 megawatts, part of the fuel mix here. That's going to improve. We saw that improvement late yesterday as well. So looks like natural gas is catching a bid here in the early morning hours and then in the late evening, though it does have to compete with power. As you can see, they're charging up here right now. They're pulling in 7,000 megawatts here, looking to discharge in the evening hours as solar peaks. Let's turn to the national grid, and we did see some fireworks yesterday in SPP. And again, that is seeing some volatility this morning. Again, our pain points here are going to be PJM, MISO, and SPP. ERCOT, with the natural gas pulling a little bit more of the fuel mix here, is a little bit stronger, going to be just under $78 there. And PJM is looking at $134, almost on $135. So we've still got some lingering heat. We've still got some volatility in power prices. Let's turn to the heat risk map here, and this has improved. This has gotten worse for some of the extreme temperatures. And as you can see right now, we have 16 million people, mainly between Texas all the way over to North Carolina, in extreme heat risk, major heat risk for 67 million. And this continues going into tomorrow, and then it continues again into Thursday. And Friday, it does get a little bit easier. Does still continue to be extreme heat temperature risk here in Texas going into the weekend here. That continues into Sunday as well and into Monday. So Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, parts of New Mexico, and Arkansas going to be under extreme heat risk. Now, this is including Dallas and Houston. So this is good pull here for Texas. So watch out for natural gas storage, because next week the Gulf Coast is going to be pulling very, very hard. Let's take a look here at the weather forecast models going further out. And as you can see here, triple digits are locked into Texas. That's right, Texas over maybe into Florida here and parts of the desert Southwest as we go through the forecast period. But as you can see, very late here It's cool in New England up there. Mid-Atlantic states also catching a bid. And there it is right at the end. The warmer temperatures are locked into Texas here and all the way back up toward St. Louis. Let's turn to Europe here, and France is finally catching a break. A little bit of warm temperatures today in the UK, France, Spain, and Ireland, but then cooler temperatures finally come in on Thursday. That's good news for them. They could use it right now. The warmer temperatures continue to exit toward Eastern Europe, in particular Greece, Turkey, and all the way over into Ukraine. So warmer temperatures do come back in right at the end of the month here on the 30th for France and Spain and Germany, but then cooler temperatures come in for September the 1st. That's good news there, and they can use all the good news they can get. Here is the UK pricing. This is in pence per therm, and as you can see, we've got that old high here back in March, and then this recent high here on July 24th. We are pressing right up against it right now at 155.22. That's pence per therm. So this is looking still positive. The RSI is turning higher, which means we're going to see new highs. Let's turn to the European storage, and it's 61.1% full across the EU. But let's take a look at Great Britain. And there she is. It's not looking pretty. We should be increasing storage at this time of year, and we're not. We're going flat, and that's because of the heat. And so we're in some serious trouble here in the EU. How about the Netherlands? Well, pretty much crawling along here. The injections start to taper off at this time of year and fall as we go into November, but they're still clearly 21% behind last year, almost 21% behind last year. So that's not good news there. How about Belgium? Belgium somewhat of the same, improving though, not a new minimum, but as you can see, their injections have really climbed over the last 2 weeks here in order to do a little bit better in storage. They are at 45% full. Let's turn to the weather in Asia, and that's pretty much the same pattern here. We've got some warmer temperatures coming back into Shanghai to Beijing right there on the 21st. That's just 3 days away. Warmer temperatures coming into the Koreas. Japan stays moderate, though it is a mixture there. It continues to stay in this warm pattern as we go all the way out into the end of the forecast period. So here we are, September 2nd. Warmer temperatures from Shanghai here, Beijing up here, and as you can see, the Koreas and Japan stay fairly warm. And how about the LNG? This is Roslavon. We've got one tanker loading up here. That's good news there. We do see these tankers coming in and out of Roslavon, but let's take a look at the Strait of Hormuz, and it is fairly quiet actually through the strait. Right now, these are basically LPG and crude oil tankers here, maybe some bulk tankers. But again, the congestion still, look at this amount of shipping that is just sitting off of Abu Dhabi and, of course, over here in Oman. Let's turn to the US, and here's Cameron LNG, and that's off a little bit. Why? Because they've got some maintenance going on. Initially, it was going to affect about 700,000 MMBTUs. They did say in an update that it was not going to, but here is the scheduled volume that is lower at this time. So let's take a look at that that posting here for planned service outage. And there is that outage right there on the pipeline itself. Says, hey, it could impact up to 700,000, but now for 8 hours, but now it looks like that restriction has been lifted, but we're not seeing it yet on the operational capacity. The total scheduled quantity, or TSQ, is only 1.437. Let's turn to Freeport. We're seeing some volatility there. Got up as high as 1.4 BCF. We're still pulled off a little bit lower here. So we'll see what happens between now and the next few days because of maintenance maybe wrapping up here at Freeport. But there is still some maintenance going on over here in Creole Trail. And as you can see, there is still some open capacity there. They do have some maintenance going on at Corpus Christi as well. These are filter changeouts here. It's going to be for the next 2 days. That starts tomorrow. Affects 750,000 MMBTUs. Then on the 21st to the 22nd, 450,000. And then we got some compressor maintenance at Sinton, which affects 300,000. So from the 19th all the way to the 23rd, we've got some maintenance going on at Corpus Christi. So let's take a look at the quantity that is scheduled. and it is scheduled for right now very, very well over 2 BCF. But as you can see, it's still 600,000 is really open capacity because there is that filter changeout coming. And here is Trans-Cameron Pipeline for Calcasieu Pass. Steady as she goes, half a BCF open there for expansion. And Plaquemines is doing a little better here, only 52,000 open there. And here's Golden Pass, 558,000 MMBTUs out of 850,000 capacity for Train 1. Good news there, steady as she goes. And let's take a look at the U.S. nuclear fleet right now. Currently, we have 1.7 gigawatts are offline for the U.S. nuclear fleet. Mainly, that's Monticello up in Minnesota. Let's take a look at the weather in the tropics here. And there's nothing expected for the next 7 days. Let's take a look at the water temperatures. Well, there's plenty of ocean water potential for a storm here, but we haven't been able to get anything to come across. And here is the mid-Atlantic here. These are the islands here, the Windward and islands there. And as you can see, Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. But this storm system here is small. It doesn't look that well organized yet. We'll keep a careful eye on it. Here's the bigger picture. Some more stuff is trying to come off of Africa right now, but there really isn't anything in the Gulf or even down here toward Panama. There's a little bit of storm system coming in to Nicaragua. Let's turn to the tropics, and this is why the Saharan air layer. This has been knocking out any storms that are trying to develop in the mid-Atlantic, even now in the lower Caribbean. So I don't know if we're going to get any real storms this year. El Niños typically are lower activity in the mid-Atlantic, but also this dust has been combining with wind shear to just knock out any potential storms. And here is El Nino, and this was issued this month. Here, as you can tell, in the dark red here, this is very strong El Nino probability. So it's 95% probable in October, November, and December. As you can see, though, as we get into January, into February, we start to see that El Nino peaks quickly and then dissipates. And potentially we start to see a neutral pattern start to develop and possibly La Nina. We're going to keep a careful eye on this. So this could be a quick surge, quick death, and then move to La Nina conditions later in the fall. So, let's go to the stocks in the oil and gas E&P sector. Stocks between $2 and $10 billion have a high short float, and it's a mixed bag. Right now, we have everything is slightly green on the left side, slightly red on the right side, except for CRK over there at plus 1%. Matador behind me, plus 4.7% on the day. So maybe some bargain hunting coming in because of natural gas prices. So recapping again for the spot September contract, we are currently trading at 275, even up 2.1 cents or 0.77%. The RSI is trying to turn to the upside. We're going to possibly get some help from storage for the next 2 weeks, but weather is firmly anchored in the south, but cooler temperatures are coming into the northeast. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow.